those things that you're embarrassed about, those things that you were ashamed about, those things that society tries to tell you, tries to convince you to think that you're not good enough or you won't go further beyond this. Those are actually the things that qualify you to do whatever it is that you want to be and walk into that calling, that gift.
Welcome to the Generation Youth Podcast. I'm your host, James McLamb, and I'm here with someone who's going to inspire you. If you didn't see it already on your screen, you're going to believe it when we talk. Caroline Bennett, how are you doing today, Caroline?
Hello, hello. I am doing amazing, blazing. I am Caroline Inspires Bennett, absolutely. But I'm doing amazing, blazing. How are you?
I am doing great, and I've been looking forward to this. I told you before the call started that I went into the closet to find a shirt to match the energy and enthusiasm and color that you're going to
Uh-huh.
bring to this conversation because I,
Yeah.
I didn't want to be the bland person in the group. I wanted to at least try to bring it.
You
So,
got it. You got it.
well, our audience loves to hear our guests share a little bit about themselves. They get tired of
Absolutely.
James talking. They want to hear from you. So
Absolutely.
if you don't mind, just give them a couple of minutes of yourself and share your story with them.
Absolutely. So, hey, everybody. I am born and raised in North Tulsa, Oklahoma. My mama is from South Fulton, Tennessee, and my daddy is from Paducah, Kentucky. The reason why I always share where it is that I come from, because the truth of the matter is, I would not be who I am today had it not been for where it is that I come from and who it is that I come from. I am a speaker. I am a poet. I am a singer. Every now and then, the young people like to say that I rap, just depending on the speed and the rhythm that I do with my spoken word. I am the founder and CEO of Caroline Inspires LLC, which I often tell people we are the inspiration that you've never had, always wanted, and did not know that you even needed. And I am a soon to be author. And then the last thing that I tell, I think that if God was to have like a top five, like starting team, I didn't play basketball, I played soccer. But if God was to have like a top five starting team for basketball for like youth advocates, I would have to be like number five or number six. I would have to be just because of my commitment to young people. I mean, I literally wake up every day. I tell people all the time, I wake up every day. I go to sleep every night. And even throughout the day, I wake up and my whole life is dedicated, devoted to serving young people. And in particular, young people, Black youth, Black girls, and Black boys who come from similar environments like the one that I grew up in. North Tulsa, I'm very intentional about saying North Tulsa because when I was coming up, you know, being from the north side of Tulsa was not something that you were proud of, right? When I watched the news, and to this day, I mean, I'm not saying I don't watch the news, but as a child, when I watched the news, all you would hear is, this happened on the north side of Tulsa again, another shooting, another murder, another fight, another building getting shut down, another this, another that. But it was always negative. People didn't come to the north side of town. And so for me, though, I didn't think I was as bad as they talked about, me and the people, in my neighborhoods. And so I always felt like we were gems on the north side of Tulsa. And so I feel like where I'm at today has a lot to do with the commitment that I made to myself when I was a younger person. And so I commit my life, my everyday doings to young people. It doesn't matter where you're from. Be proud of where you're from because you literally can be the change that you did not see when you were younger. So yeah.
When you talked about you waking up and you're an advocate for youth, what is
Yeah,
driving that? I take it's from your background and stuff, but what is your message to young people? We have a lot of parents and teachers who are
absolutely.
listening to us today, and they want to know what to share. So tell them what you're
Yeah.
sharing, and let's go from there and see where it takes us.
Absolutely. So my core message, it doesn't matter if you can invite me in to do a keynote, a workshop. You can just invite me in to stop by and say hello. It does not matter. But my core message is simply this, that you have a right and a reason to survive, thrive, and let your light shine in every single space in which you occupy. And the reason why I say this is because, once again, I am surrounded by not just young people, but even older folks, parents of these young people, teachers who
Mhm.
work with these young people, coaches, mentors. And I believe that in today's society, with 2024, that there are so many people who believe that the only thing they can do is barely make it. There are so many
Mm.
people who think that the only thing they can do is keep their head above water. There are so many people, you ask them how they're doing, their response is, "Oh, I'm all right. I'm here. I'm okay. I'm I'm all right." And nothing's wrong with I'm all right and I'm here and I'm okay. But I think a lot of times these responses have come from the fact that we've just settled with the bare minimum. And we think that, especially when it comes to young people, we're such a instant gratification society and we can't see past literally what's right in front of us. And
Mm.
so they can't say, "Oh, I'm amazing blazing," because their right now circumstances, their right now situation, what's going on around them and what's happening on the inside of them, it literally positions them to say, "Yeah, no, I'm okay." And so I literally wake up every morning like, "No, you have the right and a reason." And I'll break that down. You're right. I tell people it's because you were born. You can't earn, like, you have a right to survive, thrive, and let your light shine simply because you were born. Meaning you don't have to earn it. It doesn't matter if you're making all A's, if you making straight D's or F's. Your right to do those three things is because you were born. But if you're that young person and you're like, "That's not good enough. That's corny." It's cool. I got you. Your reason is because you're still here. And so I am very intentional on maximizing the moment that you have, whether it's a young person, whether it's an older, it does not. I literally connect with people and it is about being present in that moment. Literally, because the only thing that's guaranteed is right now. Right now is the only thing that's guaranteed. So your right is because you were born. Your reason is because you were still here. To survive simply means to exist. You got a right and a reason to exist. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you come from, if you know who your parents are, if you don't know who your parents are, you have a right to exist. You have a reason to exist. But let's move from just existing to thrive. To thrive means to go beyond just existing, to live, like to live forward, right? So you have a right because you were born to live forward, and you have a reason because you were still here to live forward. Go beyond where you were just at right now. And then lastly, you got a right and a reason to survive, thrive, and let your light shine in every space you occupy. Let your light shine is simply this idea that I believe God has placed a special gift on the inside of everybody. And what I also believe is that whatever it was that, happened to you or whatever it was that you got yourself into, to me, I think just my experience, as in I'm a living witness and, person that's walking and living this thing out. Those things that you're embarrassed about, those things that you were ashamed about, those things that society tries to tell you, tries to convince you to think that you're not good enough or you won't go further beyond this. Those are actually the things that qualify you to do whatever it is that you want to be and walk into that calling, that gift. Let your light is synonymous with your gift. And there's the thing I didn't mention it, but I'll mention it now. Not only am I the founder of Caroline Inspires LLC, but then I'm also the organizer behind this movement called Be Your Mark. And when we
Be
think
your
about
mark.
be your mark, be your mark. Absolutely. And when I think about be your mark, another way to say that means to not only just own your journey, but be on your journey. When you think
Hmm.
about a race, own, OWN, own your journey, own your story, own your narrative, all of it, the good, bad, and the ugly. But then own, ON, own your journey. When you think about a race, right? And I used to run track when I was younger. I did the 200-meter dash and I would do the relay. The man with the, who getting ready to call a shot, he say, "Runners, on your mark." He literally says, "On your mark." And if you're not on your mark, then you're automatically disqualified from the race. And I think of this race as a metaphor of life. Young people, on your mark. You have to be on your mark. You have to be in who it is that you have been called to be. And then when your journey starts. Otherwise, you running somebody else's race. So you have a right and a reason to survive, thrive, let your light shine in every single space in which you occupy. Take all of your experiences, all of those things that make you amazing, all of those things that make you blazing. Allow those things to carry you through each space that you occupy. Every space that you occupy, in other words, that means anywhere, and everywhere. Why? Because anywhere is indirect. Everywhere means okay, it's an actual place. So that's a direct thing. When we think about light, light can shine directly on something and it has benefits in spaces that it doesn't even touch direct. We're not directly touched by the sun, but we appreciate it. We feel its warmth. So when I think about the light and the gift, imagine if every young person across the world like took ownership of their journey, took ownership of their gift, took ownership of their light. This world would be so bright. Oh, I mean, it wouldn't make no sense. So, yeah.
Look, we've been working with a lot of youth, probably between us, thousands, and we see them just barely surviving, struggling to survive.
Yeah,
And I know there are others listening to us who are working with youth as well. And they're like, look, I want them to have this message, but can you give me something to do, something practical that I can help them with day one?
absolutely.
Because I give them these. I had a teacher one time tell me, say, I give them all these motivational talks myself, but it excites them for the moment. It sparks something, but the flame goes out. I need something to sustain them. Can you help me? Can
Absolutely.
you help me? And so,
Absolutely.
what can we share with these folks to help them?
Yeah. One thing that I would say is give young people a platform
Ooh,
to share. And when I say a platform, I'm not saying you have to go create some major, some big time conference. I'm not saying you have to push your young person to go do a TED talk. Just give them a platform. And that platform could be just giving them space to talk, just giving them space to talk, giving them space to connect. And here it is, connect with other young people because we're in this time now where there's a lot of peer to peer stuff going on.
yeah,
And young people are counseling one another. So when we think about surviving, when we think about thriving, these young people, if they're not talking to you, they're talking to somebody. And a lot of times, what I'm learning and have learned is they'll tell me, my best friend, she's like my mentor. She's like my therapist. Or this is my favorite, I'm my own therapist. Oh, okay. Okay. But this is what they feel like they've had to do. This is what they feel like they have. So when I say give them a platform to talk, it's easier said than done, yes. But
hmm
if you're intentional with it, so the platform to talk is saying make them feel, yes, safe, but co create an environment with them to where they feel brave. So we talk a
ooh,
lot of times about creating safe spaces, right? Yes, and we can do that. We can create safe spaces. But one thing that I want us to pay attention to is I said co create. Co create means you don't create that platform without their input. You
mm,
don't create that as a mentor, as a coach, as an educator. We have to stop trying to just create things for young people and see them as the experts in their own experiences and create things with them.
mm.
We have to get to a place to where we trust them with the things that they've gone through. We trust them to possibly be able to lead us to a place that we as adults have never even been. So co-create a space with them. So one,
You,
they can feel like they have some authority, right, on this platform to be able to share, to want to
that's
share.
powerful.
Yeah.
Powerful to let them create, powerful to let them, to be able to have this platform. I never thought about in the context that you're talking about, the impact that young people who were just 4 or 5 years older than me had on me when I was 14,
Yeah.
15, 16. They were standing up, speaking their truths
Yeah.
that they had gotten and had learned from mentors that they had
Absolutely.
had, think timeless principles that have been handed down to them that they may not have fully understood. They certainly didn't create those principles, but they
Right.
knew how to share them with me,
Right.
and it inspired me.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't their words as much as it was their presence.
Their presence. That
And
part.
yeah, and I looked up there and I saw them and I was like, I hadn't thought about this in this context, but I looked up and saw them and I thought, that's who I aspire to be.
Yeah.
I want to be there one day. What do I need to do in order to be there myself? So that's
Absolutely.
that's powerful in that. So
Absolutely. Go ahead.
now, did I remember right in our conversations? You've had some opportunities helped co-create some platforms. Am I remembering this right?
Yeah.
Well, share some of this with our audience so they can catch a vision.
Absolutely. So I'll everybody has, if you're still here, thankfully we are, those of us who are, we experienced something called the pandemic,
Yep.
COVID-19. And specifically, so I'm born and raised North Tulsa, Oklahoma, but I've been living in Columbus, Ohio for the past August to make it 8 years. And when the pandemic came, the state of Ohio studies, started showing that suicide rates for Black males had tripled,
Oh wow, I didn't know that particular demographic had tripled.
tripled. So then they created this campaign called Life is Better with You Here.
Mhm.
Well, they ran that campaign. I want to say they ran it. It might have been for about 6 months, maybe 6 months to a year. And then they came back and they said, oh man, well, we realized that if Black males are going through this, then Black girls are probably going through this as well. So then they made this campaign inclusive of just Black youth in the state of Ohio, still
Mhm.
called Life is Better with You Here. The message is in the name of the campaign. Life is like, we want you here. Like, no, whatever you think, life is not, because oftentimes talking to suicide survivors, that'll be a common statement. Like, life will just be better with me not being here. And it's like, no, life is actually better. Like, it's a constant reminder, life is better with you here. So nonetheless, the organizers behind the campaign, they reached out. As I mentioned, not only am I a speaker, but I'm an artist. And I think art, I cannot stress this enough, how instrumental art is to the development of young people. I'm not even talking about mental health. I'm just talking about a young person's development,
Mhm.
how important art is. So the organizers, they reached out and they're like, what are some things, they had an idea that art was could be helpful to young people in the time of the pandemic, but they wanted to connect. And so they said, hey, Caroline, we want to bring you on to, come up with solutions. We want to do a focus group. And I said, okay, well, if you bring me on, then I have to bring a young person to the table, because I don't believe it being at a table where we're talking about issues facing young people and young people not being at the table and being the main voice at the table. It doesn't make sense to me. So they said, okay, invite one of your young people. So I have Caroline Inspires ambassadors. They've named themselves as CIA because they want to be all secretive and top notch. And I love it. There's so my CIAs. So what happened is they,
That's cool.
yeah, I think it's pretty cool. CIAs. I
That is
think you
very
got it.
cool. I like that.
Yeah. So
It took me a second. I was like, "See, I was I'm
Caroline
stupid."
Inspires ambassadors. Yes.
I got you now. And then it just that's cool.
Yes. So they created, so we started doing focus groups, particularly at the school. And then they came back and they said, we want to do a commercial. And we want to do a commercial. And we're wondering if you can, like, help coach your young people write a piece and maybe your young people perform it. And I say, well, we could just really co-write the piece together. We could
Mhm.
co-write this piece together. So me, another young lady, Marie, which she's now a junior at Fayetteville State University, and then Annika, we co-wrote this piece
Here in North Carolina?
in North Carolina. Fayetteville
Oh.
State, yes. Yes. So we co-wrote this piece together, and then we traveled, performed it here in Columbus, we performed in Cincinnati, we performed in Cleveland. But it wasn't so much about like, oh, we're going around and we're performing. But what was happening is these young people, this platform that was essentially not necessarily one that I created, but it was a platform that I maximized, right?
Mhm.
I maximized the opportunity with these young people to be the voice for things that they are not only have experience, but are currently dealing with right now, right? Because if our goal is to reach Black youth during this campaign, then I think Black youth should be the voice of this campaign. And so we would go and we would do these performances in odd. And when I say odd places, I mean like it's almost like it wasn't a hole in the wall business, but it was like a cereal slash a sneaker store. We're partnered with other organizations in Cincinnati and Cleveland for about 2 hours, and we're there. We perform this piece. The other organization who is, doing the work behind suicide prevention, they're talking, giving out resources, all while we're in a sneaker store, a place where you wouldn't think this conversation would be taking place.
Mhm.
But we normalized it. And so I maximize this platform, reminding, and then here's the other thing. Not only did, the youth who performed that I co-wrote the piece with, not only were they coming because we have to perform it, right? But we invited other young people to tag along who were not necessarily artists, who didn't necessarily write, because I understand the power of art. And even if you can't write your way through, somebody else has written something that can possibly help you get through whatever it is that you need to get through. And so art to me, when I'm thinking, that's an example, that's one example of a platform to which I truly believe when you co-create with young people, you hear what it is that they're interested in. You will hear a lot of I hear young people all the time. I do work. I don't paint. I don't I don't write poetry. Okay. Well, then just write a sentence and then just write this sentence. And it starts off as a sentence. Don't call it poetry. We don't even have to get into labeling things. Just write this. Try expressing yourself in this manner. And then before you know it, you done found yourself, you done wrote yourself a whole poem. Just 5 sentences ago, I'm not a poet. And you don't have to identify as a poet, right? But that still doesn't take away the power from poetry, the power from
Mm.
music, the universal language, the power from painting, right? These things that, we not only is it instant gratification, but there's perfectionism is running rampant amongst the youth culture. And so if I can't paint this correctly, if I can't write this correctly, and don't get me started on writing in general, if I can't do these things perfectly, then I don't want to do it at all. And it's like, we got to get out of that. Because there was a time where art used to be fun, and art simply just meant art without all of these extra things tied to them.
You hit upon something that when you said perfectionism running amok in this culture, I think that really hurts the image that they have of themselves.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it has to do with the age of technology that we're in
that
with
part.
with social media and the ability for people to compose things or
Mhm.
create things, have time to create it and present these perfect images, and so everybody's comparing themselves to that.
That
Where
part.
in my age, because I'm much older than most people, um, in my age and stuff, we didn't have that ability to do stuff. You just watched TV and you
Yeah.
knew that was a limited group of people
Yeah,
that was, had worked to achieve that. Where
absolutely.
now you can, flip on your phone or something and see that. So I really love the fact that you address that we need to help them understand that trying and giving their best is their perfect best,
Yep.
and we need to recognize that and survive on that. So I love that story. Yeah,
And
go ahead.
I was gonna say too, I think that we should also expand the definition. We should get them to consider other definitions of what it means to be perfect. Another
Ah,
definition of perfect that I subscribed to when I was younger, to be perfect also just means to be complete.
ooh.
It means to be complete, meaning I love thrifting, right? And when you go to the thrift store, a lot of people go to the thrift store, and I take that back. A lot of people don't go to the thrift store because their number one thing is, how am I going to find anything in this space? Like, how, what? But you'd be surprised.
Or their ego will say, I don't want to get somebody's hand me
There
downs.
we go. But you'd be surprised. You go to the thrift store, you get this piece, you get your shirt, you get your shorts, and maybe you don't get your shoes there. Maybe you go to another store and get your shoes somewhere else. And maybe you don't have to go buy this because you already have earrings at the house. Maybe you don't have to, but you go to these different places and you get these different pieces. And before you know it, you have a complete outfit. You have a perfect outfit. You got it from different places. Yes, your shirt and the shorts might have came there, but you already had shoes at the house. So to me, when I think about being perfect, we should challenge them, like, expand your definition of what it means to be
Mm.
perfect. Not perfect in this, being perfect should not hurt you. Being perfect should not hinder you. Being perfect, I believe, should actually be healing you, because to be perfect
He got my mind just going in on this.
is
This is
to be
crazy
complete.
going on in my head right now.
It's to be complete. So be complete with what it is that you have
Mm.
and the things that are on the way, not to compare yourself, but just be complete. Except, like, be okay with you. I'm okay with, I accept me for who I am and what I am to become in a positive way. But being perfect shouldn't, I like that. It should not hurt you. It should not hinder you. But it being perfect should be healing you because it's
Should
about being
complete you.
yeah, you're being complete. That's what it
Yeah.
is. So that means my experiences, what I'm going through right now is going to complete me. What's
Mm.
happening to me, what's happening around me, I'm trusting that it's going to complete me. Yeah. Yeah.
Mama, when you said that, I mean, perfect and complete, I think I have a general idea where that came from. But also, I begin to think, man, this is workshop material here. This is coaching material here to
Yeah.
help young people realize what that is and
Yeah.
kind of help them to define for themselves. What does it mean for you to be complete?
That part.
What does it mean for you to have all the piece? I think when I immediately think of complete, I think of a puzzle. Is it finished?
Mhm.
And it's only finished when we get all those pieces together, which, as we're doing it a lot of times, we don't know what the thing's going to look like. We don't know what these pieces are going to look, and it takes time to be complete. So it takes time for us to have that perfect image of ourselves in regards to complete. So that's
And you just said something again. It takes time.
yeah,
Young people have to like we have so much work to do with getting them to understand the value of time, the gift of time. We have so much work to do because right now, no, no. What you say? Everything's so instant. You go to technology and
yeah.
everything is so an instant in a negative way. It's a what everybody says it. It's a popcorn society. It's a microwave society. We don't want no crock pot stuff anymore. But I'm a crock pot cooker because you got all you just put
My
everything in
wife
there.
is too.
You put everything in there. It's just raw. But when that stuff start marinating together and mixing up together, that's the crock pot. Let me just set the stage for it. Let me set the stage. Microwave, you put some in the microwave, it's done in like a minute and a half. You can put it on longer, but it's done. You're not gonna get the simmering
Yeah,
effects. A crock pot, and this is why I want young people to think about. Crock pot, my mama used to make some, what was it, like a beef stew or something with the
yeah,
beef
yeah, yeah.
and the potatoes and the
Yeah,
carrots
I
and
think
oh
my
my
mama
and
got
the
the
onions
recipe from your mama. They shared it or
and the
something.
onions and she would have it in there. And in the morning, so you would see her putting the crock pot, putting the stuff in the crock pot and it's set right by the house phone, the landline, and you don't smell nothing for hours. And then you go to bed because I used to have to go to bed at night. You got bedtimes as a kid. The crock pot and whatever was in there has a way of waking you up before your alarm even wakes you up because it hits your nostrils and then it hits your stomach like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry." All of that stuff that was raw, that you wouldn't eat separate, that you wouldn't eat uncooked, now it just made the most beautiful, delicious a microwave could never. A s
Time,
a stove
pressure, a little bit of heat,
and a lot of patience.
and a lot of patience causes all those mixed up ingredients that you didn't think go together produce something great. My mom used to do the same thing on Sunday morning. She would get up before the rest of us,
That
throw it in there, set it, and we'd go to church, come back around lunch. You'd walk in the front door, it hits you right in the
it
face. Oh
do,
my God,
it
what was
do,
that noise? What was that smell?
it do. But then the thing is, like you said something else, you said all of those things that you didn't think went together.
That's right.
And that's what I think about when I talk about being complete. Even to your example
Yeah.
of being a puzzle. You didn't even think that piece went there. It ain't nothing like trying to put that piece there and then you're like, "Oh my gosh, it don't fit." And then you put some other pieces together and then you're like, "No, this piece has to go." When you put it back and it's like, "Why didn't it fit that time?" Because it wasn't time yet. It
My
wasn't
daddy would come in and say, "Is that completely done yet?" Completely done. And my mom would open the thing and taste it. She said, "Oh, it's perfect."
perfect. It's just yeah. I could talk on and on about because I just think with time, if young people can grasp time,
Yeah.
they'll be we're still up and up because they've grasped. I will say this: the young people have been able to grasp things that we didn't grasp, that that my teachers when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school didn't grasp. So although, let me just say that although young people ain't necessarily grasping time as much as I think could help them, one thing that I feel like they have, I mean, how do I put this? It goes beyond creativity. They are risk takers.
Hmm.
And I think risk takers in a way, sometimes to a fault, but they're risk takers. And I think they're thirsty for, like, you have so many young people who want to be entrepreneurs right now. You have so many young people who, and being an entrepreneur, like people teach on this, the entrepreneurial mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's more than just saying, like, I want to own my own business, because we all know that owning your own business is actually, I personally believe it's harder than working for somebody, because you're working for yourself and you
Yeah.
hire and it's a lot harder than what, but they have, it's this desire to be the boss, to be in control, to create something. I just don't know how to get there. And that coupled with microwave society, they think they can get there quickly, right?
Yes.
But
And they see these people who have these apparent overnight successes. And they think, well, they did it, everybody did it. And they don't see all the
yeah,
work that these overnight successes have done for 20 years beforehand, or
yeah.
years before.
And I think that's where we hold the older people accountable,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times when it comes to what you show, a lot of people, older people, only show the good. They only show the overnight success. And so part of it is, can we fault young people for wanting, this is the only thing they see? If you don't show me hard work and I only see this, what seems like easy work or achievable work, another way to put it, if you only show me the glory and not the story part, I be wrong for wanting this? I didn't see you staying up late at night. I didn't see you crying. I didn't see you getting rejected on those grants that you applied for. I didn't see you calling a person 50 times and them not returning. I didn't see that part. All I saw was the yes, because that's all you showed me. And so I think that's also a call, an advocate for
To
young
be a little
people,
bit more transparent.
for
Yeah.
those of us who are in position to be more transparent, to be more authentic with our own stories, so
Mm-hmm.
that young people who come from various different backgrounds can connect to it, can relate to it, and can actually see themselves in your story.
Mm.
It's an
Hi,
accountability thing.
audience. If you've not been, if you're not just getting excited at this, then as my dad says, if this don't wet you, and if this don't get you inside, if this don't set you on fire, then your wick is wet. Because something's wrong with your candle there. It's going to. How can our audience
Yeah.
better connect with you so that they can get some more inspiration and they can see more what you have to offer and what you can help them with?
Absolutely. So everything is Caroline Inspires. Instagram, Caroline Inspires. And on Instagram, I actually have two pages. So Instagram, first page is Caroline Inspires. And then it will also take you to a page, Yes, Caroline Inspires, which highlights the CIAs, the Caroline Inspires Ambassadors, which is strictly the youth centered page. Facebook, Caroline Bennett and Caroline Inspires. LinkedIn, Caroline Inspires Bennett. YouTube, Caroline Inspires. And then the website is carolineinspires.com. So we
And
all,
if anyone did not get that, just look in the show notes. If you're listening, go to your favorite app. You're going to find it there. If you're watching on YouTube, you know the drill. Just hit more information. Look down. See it down, guys. And you'll see the space, all that information there. And I'm going to tell the audience something else too, because you've already agreed to do this. So I'm going to put you on the spot and not let you back out. We do 2 summits a year. The one during the summer that we just had, by the time this airs, we'll have just had it, is there to empower adults. But the one that we do during the winter is to elevate and inspire youth. And Caroline's going to be one of the headliners on it. She was one of the first people we asked for that one. So her and we've got a whole, we're building that up. So people stay attention to this. You're going to want to see this, because I have no idea what her presentation is going to be, but I know it's going to inspire me. So I'm looking forward to seeing it. So thank you for coming on our show and
absolutely.
sharing your message, sharing your heart. Really, that's what
Yeah,
we've got. Sharing your heart and inspiring us. I do appreciate that so much.
absolutely. May I conclude with the message for everybody watching?
Please, please.
All right. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine said I've got to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, or let it shine. They say light is the only thing that can minister to darkness. Trying to inspire myself, but I can't first seem to locate where my heart is. I've misplaced it. In the cares of those who don't matter, I've exchanged it for the approval of those who don't care, rearranged it, transitioned it from the left to the right. And when I find myself reasoning with my soul, I write with my left. Overs rehearsing the same narrative. Dreams have gotten smaller. My vision must be impaired again. Oops, I couldn't see it. Dang, if I could hear it. Objects in the mirror are closer than they're appearing. So here I am, readjusting my perspective. Hills look like mountains until you stand right next to it. Never above or around, but always through it. Pushing past the pain when things are getting bluer. Standing on the promise when the grass ain't greener. Staying on the boat despite the waves are getting wilder. Preserving your peace when negative thoughts have filled your mind up. Pursuing your purpose, don't lose sight. Audience of one. My heart became the wilderness, my mind was Pharaoh. Worrying about would my fears to the show. Fasting and praying, will these seeds ever grow? Will my glow ever show? Will my story be told? Will my soul be sold? My heart became the wilderness, my mind was Pharaoh. Disobedient to a God who had called me to let my ideas grow, to let my creativity flow. They say light is the only thing that can illuminate darkness. Trying to inspire myself, I had to first remember why I started. Never mind the days when motivation had departed. The harvest is plenty, y'all, but the laborers are few. So when you shine your light to every educator out here, to every mentor, to every coach, to every parent doing this necessary work and standing in the gap with, for, and on behalf of these young people, when you shine your light, make sure it has the exact same power to come back and strengthen you. Thank you.
Oh my, that was powerful. Thank you so much. Thank you, audience, for sticking with us. If you stuck with us this long, you just got inspired. Please like, share, comment, and most importantly, share. Someone that you know needs to hear this message. Someone who doesn't know about us needs to experience what you just experienced. So don't be selfish with this. Let's get the word out. And let's get it again. And we'll see everybody real again soon on another episode of the Generation Youth Podcast.
Yeah.